there about them working and not working. Mobility on design spaces, which is the big green space, which is 38%. A lot of comments on making neighborhoods more walkable, multimodal solutions, promoting transit. Those are really some of the top ideas we heard on mobility. To a lesser extent, we heard about parking and traffic. But I would say that was to a much lesser extent than multimodal and walkability. Moving to the right, livability, talking about that just a minute. So under community feeling, which I don't know if that's the right term to use, but comments we heard there, though, were historic preservation, the importance of that, quality of life being something that was really important to the people we spoke to, Flagstaff having a small town character and protecting and preserving that over time. Another thing that popped up there a number of times, which maybe not shocking, but was public safety. Just keeping that kind of in the forefront as we move this forward. Under neighborhoods, what we really heard mostly there was affordability. And it's a little bit buried here, I think, in that 28%, but we really heard the concern about affordability frequently. So that's something we're keeping in mind, and there was a focus group on housing. So as this moves forward, we'll be keeping that in mind too. And then lastly, just want to talk about economics and finance. Of course, an important component, not mentioned quite as frequently. Some of the things we heard here were just to remember the fiscal impacts of policies and standards and how that impacts projects going forward. On the economic end, we heard about tourism and the importance of that to the local economy. Promoting neighborhood serving commercial uses was another idea we heard about, ties into a little bit what Dan was talking about. And some of the walkability issues we heard. And then promoting cottage industries was another comment we heard, and I know that was talked about in the economic focus group as something that was important. And then I know brownfields is something that's kind of out there and something you just keep in mind. And we heard of that being a comment, something to keep in mind as we think about economics moving up and moving the code and some of the planning processes forward in the city. So that summarizes the results of the stakeholder interviews. We'll take questions at the, I guess, at the end of the presentation if anybody has wants any more detail.
Thank you, Lisa. So is everybody awake now? We're sort of in fifth gear. Hopefully you're absorbing this information, by the way, that Lisa just presented, as well as I know the information from the surveys will be readily available fairly soon on the website, and the mapping, we just need to work with Roger to get the mapping as well. So we don't expect you to absorb all of this information from one quick presentation. We hope you take a chance to download it and take a really close look at it and ask us questions. So moving on to the second part of the presentation in terms of what we've learned. I get a chuckle out of the sort of this photograph here. It's the only city that we've ever worked in where people park their bikes in the trees on occasion. So we're learning a lot about Flagstaff. Some of it's really relevant to the code, others is not, but it makes sort of us realize that Flagstaff is indeed a unique place. So in a good way, I like it a lot. So I'm going to talk about this macro scale analysis. This is citywide analysis, and what this does is this enables us to understand the entire framework of the city, primarily in terms of areas that we're going to ultimately want to reinforce as walkable, mixed-use places, reinforce or transform, and other places. So in terms of the form-based code application, but it also just gives us the understanding of the entire city in a very short amount of time. All these maps are on the walls. I'm going to go through these. I'm going to give you an overview of the range of mapping that we've done. First of all, the transportation network. What this begins to show us is both the circulation from an automobile standpoint as well as a pedestrian and bicycle standpoint, because we're able to get all of your extensive trails and bike lanes on this map. It also begins to tell us where there's really hard edges, like the freeway, that's hard to get across as a pedestrian or a bicyclist, and enables us to understand those hard edges in terms of getting people to and from sort of one end of the city to the other, but also defining specific areas of your town. The train tracks, for instance, is the boundary between sort of the core of downtown and south of downtown, so for example. This is just a figure ground. It's really hard to see at this scale, but what every little black object is on this map is a building footprint. Your city has amazing GIS data that actually enables us to have every single building footprint on a map, and from an urban design and a placemaking standpoint, that's really helpful in terms of understanding and reinforcing a place. This map represents elevation, sort of the red being the highest, the green being the middle, and the yellow being the lowest, so it just begins to spatially define areas of the city for us in terms of how the city currently functions and might function in the future. And then steep slopes. You can see in the red and the yellow, the red being the steepest of the slopes, just really very quickly beginning to define or sort of highlight the fact that the city has taken its form for a very obvious reason, which is Mother Nature and these very steep slopes, which are basically pinning in the downtown to the north and the west, and opportunities, sort of the topography further to the south and the southeast, sort of defining the furthest edge of the city as well. And sort of, if you look at a map like this, which is the developed and the constrained, so the developed are these building footprints, which are a little bit hard to see, but then the constraints are these sort of undevelopable slopes. The areas that then begin to show up as white begin to sort of highlight the areas where it makes the most sense to develop in the future. Ideally for us, since this is just a zoning code update, this informs our understanding of the city, but also would ideally plug into the regional plan update and influencing the regional plan update, because it's great that these two processes are happening at the same time, and information that we create can inform some of what they're doing, and hopefully some of the information they're creating can inform our decision making as well. And then the bicycle and the urban trail system, just understanding how people get from one end of the city to the other if they're not in a car. I had a really great experience this afternoon. I actually went out with a group of bikers. This is the first time I've been on a bike in Flagstaff. I bike a lot in Berkeley, mostly as a commuter, not as necessarily a recreational biker, but getting to and from work, getting to the farmer's market. It was great to be out there to experience sort of being a bicyclist in downtown, which is one experience, but then getting very quickly off into your trail system, which is just, it's really quite amazing. It just really helps us understand decisions that we're making. So your existing walkable mixed-use centers, the downtown is the apparent existing functioning walkable mixed-use center. And the really interesting thing about this is this seems to be the one built place that 90% of you say defines the character of what Flagstaff is. So that's really interesting to us, that this is the most urban place, and that in combination with the natural environment, which is always just off in the distance, really are defining what people see as Flagstaff. And then transit stops and walkability. The other really amazing thing is there is an amazing amount of transit in Flagstaff. The level of information this doesn't have is the frequency, which if we started getting that information, it would paint a better picture. But what this says is there's a system in place that can be built upon in terms of providing choices for people that are wanting to have that option of not driving across town. The framework's in place, decisions are making in the regional plan, as well as in the zoning code.